they're kind of like, those high school jocks that always just kind of seem to be like they always just seem like they want to get into trouble.
For the Apple Watch 850 million.
None of Apple's names seems to make sense. They have artificial intelligence.
And also,
hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of the iTunes Fan Podcast. As always, I'm Teddy Magger from the iTunes Fanboy.
I'm Tabby Cat 406 or TC Tech.
And Alpha Day Wolf from the Random Alpha Gadgets is without us today because he has something going on. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into our first topic, which is that the Apple SuperDrive has been officially discontinued, or hasn't been officially discontinued, but there's not any inventory shown anywhere on Apple's website. So
That's unfortunate because that accessory is something that really can't go obsolete.
I mean, the only two things that were really obsolete about the SuperDrive were, well, three things were that number one, it did use a DVD drive, and whilst still having a DVD drive was important back in 2008 when it released, when they started eliminating it, it's not quite as important now. But I mean, you also have to consider that number.
Yeah, but I mean, one of the things that I will say, sorry to cut you off here, but DVDs will always be a part of history because think of how many movies and events were recorded to DVD. It's like, yes, nothing new is coming out on DVD, but it's like saying after EVs take over, a majority of the market share, gas will be obsolete because there's still going to be history,
Yeah.
in gas cars. Just like CDs are always going to have some sort of history.
I mean, they will always have some sort of history, but the two things that were kind of limiting the SuperDrive were that number one, it has USB-A, so therefore it can't interface with a lot of modern Macs since Apple's getting rid of USB-A ports. And number two, they're also getting rid of. And number two, the SuperDrive doesn't even work properly on modern Mac OS. Yeah.
Oh, really?
As Quinn from Snaz Labs actually bought one back in December, and it did not work.
Yeah,
and he was using a Mac with USB-A ports.
Yeah, I saw that video, but so what's weird, I actually use a SuperDrive.
On your Mac?
I haven't used one. Yeah, I think the last time I used one, I was on. What was the. Hang on, I think I was on Ventura, and I'm on Monterey, or not Monterey, Sonoma now. So unless they did something specifically in Sonoma, I don't think. I think he might have gotten either a faulty unit or there could have been some other software interfacing issues.
My guess is that
yeah.
they could have done. They might have just done something specific to Sonoma because even though Apple hasn't made a stylus-based device in many years, they still kept the built-in drivers on macOS for pen interfacing all the way up until macOS Catalina when they eliminated support for all 32-bit apps on macOS.
Right.
So, I mean, that's just that.
Yeah, so you have a good point there. I don't know, the whole situation is weird.
Alright, but shall I move on to our next topic?
Yeah, let's go.
Alright, so one of the Samsung chairmen is angry over Samsung copying Apple.
With the Galaxy Watch Ultra.
And the Galaxy Buds 3.
Yeah, those products are weird.
I've seen them both in person at Best Buy.
I think I've seen the Fold and the Flip in person, but I just have not been able to have any care about the new Galaxy Watch because the way I see it, every Galaxy Watch is the same.
Yeah.
Because I don't think they've had any major processor updates. I don't think they've had any major OS updates. And the one and only, no, I've had two Galaxy Watches. One of them I bought in 2017. It was awful. Samsung Pay kept on toggling randomly. So I returned it and I bought a lamp instead with the money that I used to buy the watch. The second one, I was actually given about a year ago. And I was unable to pair it with my phone. And even if I did, even if I was able to pair it, I mean, it just didn't feel quality. It felt like a cheap, you know, probably it felt more like a $70 watch than a I believe it was MSRP at 250 at launch.
That's not good.
Not a good experience.
I mean, there's a reason why the
Yeah,
Apple Watch is
I
the most
didn't
popular
like that.
watch in the world.
The Apple Watch is the most versatile watch in the world, unless you're an Android user. But think of it, any Apple Watch will pretty much work universally with any clothing choice. You know, I have the stainless steel graphite Apple Watch, and it's never felt out of place.
That's a good point, actually, because I mean, I just wear a cloth band with a blue Apple Watch right now, and I mean, it kind of it fits the rest of my clothes.
Yeah, because I feel like I think the one Apple Watch, well, there's two different Apple Watches that I think kind of don't hold the test of time too well. And no offense, but the blue one and the red one. Because I feel like those two colors are just a little bit too bright for all styles of clothing. You know, I feel like if you wore a blue or red Apple Watch with like a suit, it wouldn't fit in as well as a
I
black
mean,
or a white
that's
Apple
a.
Watch. But I did like the blue and red colors. I'm not saying they're bad colors. I'm just saying they don't fit in
I
as well.
mean, it depends on what color suit you have too. As I mean, you can technically get different colors of suits, but I mean, a lot of time, and I mean,
Yeah.
but I should also mention that I've never worn a suit before. How
Surprising.
come you're surprised that I've never worn a suit?
You seem like the kind of guy to wear a suit to like a professional function.
Well, I don't exactly have professional functions, so.
Well, you seem like the kind of guy to go to a professional function.
I mean, to my only job that I actually make money, that's not just doing chores in the house, is YouTube, so.
I mean, maybe one day we can all, walk into VidCon or something just wearing like professional business attire.
That'd be pretty funny, but. Alright, I think we've nailed that topic into the ground, so should we move on to my next topic about my future tech upgrades?
Yeah,
Alright, so I'm going to be upgrading. I'm going to definitely be upgrading to the iPhone 16 Pro and Apple Watch Ultra 3 this fall, unless something major
that's good.
changes. And the reason, and I have and my reason for upgrading my phone is that, well, so I do love my iPhone 14 Pro. I made a stupid mistake with it when I bought it.
128 gigs.
Wait a second. And now I'm using 70 gigs. Okay, that's a lot better than. I thought I was using a lot more storage, but I guess somehow it went down?
Let me
Maybe
check how much storage I'm
maybe I'm just
using.
gonna wait.
So I'm using about 300 gigabytes of
How much
storage,
storage is on your phone?
but I have a
Oh,
512 gig
yeah.
iPhone, but
Okay, maybe I.
I was planning on maybe getting 1 terabyte if they drop the price to what 512 is now.
I doubt they're gonna
And
do
that was
that,
my
but I
air
mean
freshener.
that would be cool. But okay, maybe scratch that upgrade scenario.
I think you should still think about it because iOS 16 is getting old. You know, you don't want to have any app issues. And I just feel like in general, you could use an upgrade after 2 years of using the 14 Pro as your daily.
I want to wait an
Well,
extra.
almost two
I
years.
want to wait an extra year for a few for because I mean not only have I mean the problem is that 2 years. I mean if this phone's still holding up well, like there haven't like it's not really until 3 years that you really start to know that the phones generally start feeling older to me. Like for example, my iPhone 11 Pro Max is 3 years old when I got my 14 Pro, and another good reason why I'm probably not going to upgrade is that I still had my iPad Air 5 when I upgraded my iPhone 14 Pro to my iPhone 14 Pro, and I have no intentions of upgrading this. And so, therefore, I mean,
You're not gonna upgrade your iPad?
I'm pro. I'm pro. For the first time after 2 years, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm probably not going to upgrade for quite a while just because buying a more expensive iPad meant that I bought a higher spec iPad, meaning that it's gonna take quite a lot of time before it's gonna be a feasible upgrade for that I want to actually spend money on, since I don't really need to spend like six. I'm probably not going to spend $600 on another iPad Air, and or I'm not probably not going to spend that kind of money on an iPad,
All
especially
right.
because I have my school iPad that runs iPadOS, well, soon to be 18 if I really need to. So,
Okay.
and another reason why I'm going to wait to upgrade now is because I was also planning on upgrading to the Apple Watch Ultra 3, but I'm not doing that just because I want to have a kind of a decent phone for when I get out of high school, just because I'm not sure how my expenses
So
or what you go.
what I'm gonna say, you wouldn't be able to upgrade your Apple Watch until you upgrade
Yeah,
your phone because iOS 16 won't interface with anything. Um, but yeah,
I'm gonna wait until my junior year to upgrade, just because I don't just because I want to have a good phone when I go out of high school, so that way, if I am an adult to have to deal with more expenses, then I won't have to worry about a new phone.
yeah, that makes sense.
But I guess shall I move on to the T-Mobile salesman that to the two salesmen that attempted to hustle me?
Yeah.
All right, so for I was at Sam's Club or on Sunday as of recording this, and I was at Sam's Club with my dad, and my dad was using the restroom, so he told me to wait in the tech area. So I did, and I was just checking out the iPhone 15 Pro demo units. And at the time, because I was running out of storage on my iPhone 14 Pro, again, that's changed apparently. So, but I said that yeah, I was planning on upgrading to the iPhone 16 Pro, but in case you don't know, I use AT&T. Well, you probably know that, but my audience might not.
Yeah.
So I told them that no, I'm very good. I'm very happy with AT&T, and my parents aren't. Well, my parents are probably not going to switch away. So and then they kept trying to convince me to buy to switch to T-Mobile, and I even said like no, I don't. I'm not gonna use T-Mobile because they're a monopoly. And then they said, well, T-Mobile's not a monopoly. It's just think of it like all these other carriers going out of business. And then I said, yes, but aren't you a German company, and isn't Germany based in the EU, which is trying to break up monopolies? And they said, no, I mean we're an American-based company too. Like we might have a German founder, but I'm not fully sure how correct that is. Like let me look that up. Or
Yeah, I don't know if T-Mobile is European or not.
okay, they are headquartered in the United States. Okay, that's or let me check. Okay, they're headquartered in Washington State. Okay. So they technically are an
Hmm.
American company in that case. So whatever information I got before was wrong. But we're about to find out why that's still unethical behavior and two topics down. But yeah. And the two salesmen that kept trying to convince me, they were kind of like, those high school jocks that always just kind of seem to be like they always just seem like they want to get into trouble. like the
Yeah.
like they just sound like those kind of guys, and the salesman proudly mentioned how they
They
have
they-
no
they're kind of
service.
they're kind of like they're kind of like Beavis and Butthead.
Kinda, yeah. That's a good analysis. And then when my dad got out of the bathroom and came to see me, he said, I told him that the salesman told my dad, hey, and he also told you that you should switch to T-Mobile home internet for only $40 a month. Which, granted, I know Xfinity is really expensive, but I know my mom's not going to be willing to switch from Xfinity. And then they went as walked away because I got a big box of Cheez-Its for this upcoming for well the school year that just started for me. I said that they said enjoy your Cheez-Its.
Yeah, those dudes at Walmart always try and well, Sam's Club's basically Walmart, but yeah, they're always trying to. I guess you could, in your mind, yeah, you could say hustling. There's these AT&T dudes there for me
Oh
and
no.
Verizon dudes, and they started going. I'm like, yeah, I got banned from one of your stores when I was 12, and they were like, "What?" And I gave them I think one of them one time I told them what happened because I did nothing wrong. They just didn't like me. Um, and they were like, "Oh, well, we can set you up in Walmart." I'm like, "I'm not supporting that company." And then Verizon, I'm like, "You guys lock your phone's bootloaders. I don't want a phone with a locked bootloader, even though I don't even use Androids. I don't want to have a company that tries to limit everything you do on your phone."
Mind you, a company that doesn't even
Kind of
make
like,
phones. Well, they don't even make. Yeah, they don't make
yeah,
phones.
they're not an OEM manufacturer. And it's like, people can say that iOS is so limiting, but like, if I'm buying an Android, I'm buying an Android to customize it. I'm not buying an Android to have the greatest experience ever with my phone. I'm buying it to customize it. So why take a major customization feature away from the Android? And better yet, we're always talking about how, we need to fix the environment or whatever, right? Well, here's the thing. Verizon locking the bootloaders could be considered an anti-environmental decision because, truthfully, those phones from the 2010s that could not get more than 2 years of updates are then basically obsolete to enthusiasts. When enthusiasts would really just go put, custom bootloader onto their phone and update it themselves with a custom ROM. So it's like, however many of those phones get thrown out by enthusiasts or just sold and then ended up in the trash, it could have been better if Verizon never did that.
That
We don't have to waste all these
that's
phones.
actually a valid point because I remember back when. Hang on, let me grab them. I remember back in early 2020 when my mom was planning on upgrading from. Let me grab them. When she was planning on upgrading from her old iPhone 8 Plus to her old to her also her old iPhone 11 Pro Max, it was the initial plan that I was going to get the 8 Plus. However, my aunt also needed a new phone. My aunt also needed a new phone at that point. So I was like, okay, how about we just go into the AT&T store, get me a new phone, and then we'll give my aunt this one, and we ultimately decided not to do that just because, well, what I'm trying to say is that because my aunt uses Verizon, but we use AT&T. So I mean, and we don't know how AT&T would have accepted the unlock for that phone or not.
Hmm.
So we never tried, but I mean, like there's a lot of situations like that too when different family members or else people want to give their old phones to friends that use different carriers.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like if you're switching carriers, so we switched from Sprint years ago, and they actually would not unlock our phones. They said they were working on unlocking them. What ended up happening is I went to the Apple Store and I traded in the 10. Well, no, I got an XS Max, but my dad traded in his 10, which I was using for a couple days, even though it couldn't have service because it was locked to Sprint, and he got an unlocked iPhone XS. So essentially, that's another, what, $500-$600 down the drain just because of Sprint's anti-consumer behavior.
Well,
Locking phones is criminal, though,
at least Sprint is
or it
not.
should be criminal.
At least Sprint is kind of managing to get that more under control now that they're owned by Team or they merge with T-Mobile.
I'll say this about Sprint. I've never been able to get a Sprint device unlocked in my life. And back when I did a lot of phone resales and stuff, um, like when I sold phones, Sprint was the worst of the big four carriers to have because you have AT&T, they have the unlock portal. T-Mobile is so widely recognized that you can sell a T-Mobile phone and a T-Mobile customer will buy it and not care if it's unlocked. Verizon's 4G phones are 90% of the time unlocked, and Sprint's phones were never unlocked, and you couldn't unlock them properly. You couldn't just go online or call them and ask.
I mean, even with AT&T, I mean, so you basically had to hope that a Sprint customer would go ahead and buy would buy the phone, and the same deal goes with AT&T. Or I mean, technically the same deal goes with AT&T, but at least you can unlock on both Sprint. You would just have to hope that a Sprint customer would buy it.
Yeah, and I actually looked into unlocking a Sprint phone many times. You would need like the original owner's SSN, account info, purchase date, receipt, all this like just stupid info.
My only theory on why Sprint could have possibly done that is because they wanted to avoid the potential phone thieves from being able to unlock the phones easily to sell them for higher prices. That's my only theory because that's my only theory.
I have a very good
Yeah,
theory. Sprint doesn't want people switching from Sprint.
that's also a better theory.
Yeah, I don't think Sprint did a single ethical thing when I was with them.
I mean, they clearly didn't do much ethical because they're basically gone now.
Yeah, I'm so glad T-Mobile bought them out.
Yeah, just not the other carriers that T-Mobile bought.
Hmm. I mean, I will say this. T-Mobile, well, it's better that T-Mobile is buying them out than Sprint, Verizon, or AT&T if they bought these carriers out because AT&T would just turn them into another Cricket Wireless or whatever. Verizon would just make these carriers a mess and probably put so many people out of a job. At least T-Mobile is kind of keeping the carriers the same as they were. T-Mobile just wants more people on the MMVO to switch to their own business.
I can see that. I mean AT&T. I think the reason why you see T-Mobile buying out so many more, so many more carriers than the others is because well AT&T legally can't because they already got broken up once.
Oh,
That was back in the 1960s, I believe, when they got broken up into 17 different companies, I believe. Or I believe it
wow.
was technically Bell at that point, but yeah. And then Verizon. And then Verizon. I don't know if Verizon's ever been investigated or not, but
Verizon is
their ads are so annoying.
Verizon. Verizon as a company just is not exactly great.
Oh, I've watched your whole video about why Verizon is a terrible company.
Yeah, that's an old video too. I would remake that video, but I just don't think that people really want to hear me rant about Verizon for 30 minutes on end.
Is it about their care? Would it be about their carrier?
It would be about how bad of an experience I had with their home internet, how bad of an experience I've had, not as a Verizon customer, but working with Verizon devices. It's about how bad of an experience I've had working with their test drive system, or well, well, Verizon has a free trial that you can put on your phone. I tried that. I couldn't get service in so I couldn't get service in 1 out of 4 places in my house, and I was repeatedly losing service just around town, around my general area. I was not able to get proper service on Verizon.
That's annoying.
And unfortunately, I tried an AT&T MNVO, and I also had poor experience with their service.
Different carriers need to be good in different places.
Yeah, T-Mobile has so far been the only carrier that I've been able to use at my house reliably.
Yeah, I can't really get. I can't exactly get that much reliable cell service in my area since it's not. Since there's a lot of area, since there's a lot of areas in my area in around me that cell even in my own house that cell service is rather weak.
Rural area.
It's not exactly rural though, which is the thing.
It's probably just a little bit. Oh, it's probably in a area where there's two different cell towers pretty much sandwiching your house.
Well,
but you're just stuck in that middle. It's probably where you're stuck in that middle area where they don't think that there's room for a third one, but you're just in that dead zone where, you're too far from cell tower 1 to get good reception, too far from cell tower 2 to
I
get
mean,
good
that makes
reception.
sense since I see cell towers in my area, but not that frequently, and I'm getting one bar right now, and that's typically what I get at my school too.
Yeah, I'm getting one bar right now in my basement, but normally in my basement I would be, or normally upstairs I would be getting 3 or 4
I mean, that
bars.
makes sense because you're in a basement, but my house is only one story without a basement, so
Yeah,
that's even so, and I live right in town, so that's not exactly fair. But shall we move on to our next topic now, since we kind of got a little bit sidetracked?
sure.
All right, so the Twitter app has stopped working on the Mac, but the iPad app for X is now available on the Mac.
Oh,
So you basically gotta go X on the Mac now.
I guess. Damn, didn't they just I thought the Twitter app for Mac was announced in like what, 2019? So how quick are they killing off these apps? I guess that has been 5 years, so
I mean, it's not. I mean, it's not
still
as bad as
5 years is
Google when
not
it
bad.
comes to killing off stuff. But I guess it makes sense. 'Cause, I mean, you can technically still use Twitter on the Mac, but I mean, and I personally don't even have Twitter app on my Mac because I just use their website on my Mac. But yeah,
I mean, yeah, the website's better anyway.
yeah, I just don't like. I just don't personally. I love Twitter, but I don't like X.
I hated both, but I hated
Yeah,
Twitter
just
more.
because I mean, Twitter was such a bad platform before Elon Musk bought it. I actually left the platform temporarily until I found out that Elon was buying it, just because I was so sick of all the political and just controversial stuff on there that I'm not going to get into.
The people that were on that app, especially prior to like last year, just felt that they could say whatever they want about whoever they want and they could get away with it. And I'm saying this about both sides, on the political spectrum. It was almost like they found Twitter and they said, "Oh yeah, let's just make this the area where we just spew, just we just spew, hate and have a disregard for anybody's,
Yeah, I
safety."
mean that's a whole.
Because I've seen I've seen people's addresses, I've seen people's phone numbers, had my phone number leaked on Twitter multiple times. Um, I still know the dude who did that, but
I've had I've
yeah,
had some, but I've seen like you want to know a funny thing. You want to know a funny thing about Twitter?
yeah,
I've never, even though Twitter porn is now officially allowed on Twitter on X, I've never seen porn on that app or on that platform ever since they allowed it. I have seen it before. I have seen it back in 2021 though on Twitter.
that's unfortunate.
Yeah, like that just goes to show you how bad it was, and I don't want to get in specifically on this podcast, but I don't necessarily want to get into all about how Twitter was bad right before Elon bought it, but I mean, I'll just leave it at that.
It was just a problematic platform.
How about we move on to our next topic regarding Google?
What's that?
So the U.S. government has ruled Google as an illegal monopoly in search engines and advertising, but Google has appealed.
Oh, the world.
The difference is that Google. I mean, the I mean, I'm going to. I mean, I think the biggest problem with Google. I think the biggest problem with this whole lawsuit is that Google is kind of the first search engine out there, and it was just very well known, and it was just so as a result, it's just been it's been a well established brand at this point, so it's just a lot harder for competition to get in. And I'm not saying that's ethical, like pay Apple and Samsung and keep using their services. Like I'm not saying that is ethical, but I am saying that like Google, they do their market share is just in that sense because I mean
Google's a very well-known company, I feel like, and they do things right and they get a lot of they get a lot of like things proper, if that makes
yeah.
sense. They do a lot of things
I mean who
properly.
pay, I mean who genuinely uses another search engine?
Yeah. I used to use Bing for a while, but then I realized that Bing was stupid.
Yeah, I've never really I briefly tried to switch to DuckDuckGo just because privacy reasons before they had some controversies, but I ultimately decided just but old DuckDuckGo ultimately just doesn't offer the features, or at least didn't.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the reason I used Bing was because they would give me like 25 Bing points every day for using it or something, and I thought that would go somewhere, but it never did.
That's that's stupid.
Yeah.
All right, speaking of something stupid, shall we talk about Intel now?
Yeah.
All right, so Intel is has laid off 15,000 employees because they spent too much money on AI, so now they can't afford to pay their workforce, and they plan to lay off 15% of their company employee.
Of course they would put too much money into AI, so they would have to ruin
Of
people's
co-
lives.
of course. I mean, Intel doesn't isn't.
Yeah,
I mean,
because
Intel doesn't already have issues with their chips
AI,
combusting. They totally need to spend money on
it's
AI
like,
rather than fixing the combustion of their chips. You know, and Alpha just texted
yeah,
us.
yeah. But it's like AI is already, projected to put a lot of people out of a job. But but it's like I didn't think that AI would literally just put people out of a job because it's making companies go broke.
I mean, I didn't think it would necessarily be in that sense too, because I thought,
I thought
oh,
they would just replace useless jobs. Let's hop onto the group chat call.
all right. Alpha is gonna join this one, by the way.
Yeah.
Hello?
Hello.
Ah, there we go.
So
You came
Oh,
late.
let's turn the camera on. Oh, it's looking for my phone. One sec. There we go.
Hello, Alpha Dick Wolf. This is the other host. We were quite surprised to see you.
Yeah, it turns out my appointment ended early, so I just rushed to the bed and pulled out my laptop. Didn't even bother setting up the desk. My
Frog,
room's
yeah.
let's just say a tornado ran through it, and it is even messier than it has ever been. So I'm keeping that off camera today. Yeah.
Ooh.
Uh,
All right. Well, we've just been. Well, I mean, we were just talking about Intel's latest blunder, but I think we kind of ran that topic to the
What, the whole
ground.
CPUs catching fire or something like that? Or
Oh, oh no, not this is a different
Oh.
issue.
Yeah, it looks like I missed a lot.
They laid off. Yeah, they laid off 15,000 employees because they spent too much on AI, and they plan to lay off a total of 15% of the
Oh!
company.
yeah, so AI is putting people
No,
out
no,
of
not in the way
jobs,
everybody
but not in the
thought.
way
Yeah.
that we thought.
Whoops.
And I mean, Intel already. I mean, we already said how Intel doesn't already have issues of their chips combusting, so they totally don't need to. They totally need to spend more money on AI.
Oh, goodness.
Not.
Yeah. Can't stand this whole AI thing. It's just the fact is we could have had more features on iOS 18, but no, AI. Oh, I got Apple Intelligence Beta, by the way, so I guess we
Yeah,
can talk
sure.
about that a little bit later.
Or how about we talk about that as our next topic, actually?
Okay.
All right. So, do you have any more thoughts about Intel's blunder?
I do not.
I guess AMD is
I
going
don't.
to capture a lot more market share now.
Boy,
Yeah, I already use
because
AMD,
AMD can
and
poke.
so
Oh, you continue.
sorry. So actually use all three. I have AMD in my gaming PC. I have Apple Silicon in my main laptop and my Mac Studio, and I got an XPS with 5th gen Intel Core i7. I
Okay.
was just given it to fix, and dude basically said, "Yeah, if you can fix it, good for you. If not, smash it." Basically, so I'm like, okay. So I put a new SSD in it and I fixed it. So I mean,
Alrighty then.
I guess.
Yeah, I've never actually owned any AMD
All right.
computer ever. They have all been
Yes.
either Intel or
Mm,
Apple Silicon.
same.
You gotta get one at some point. Maybe
Well, yeah,
whenever your XPS
if the
needs
XPS
upgrading,
was
which won't
available
be
with
for a
AMD,
long,
I
long
obviously
time.
would have went
But
for that because I hear AMD is so much better, especially in laptops. But no, only Intel was available for the XPS line, which was kind of unfortunate.
yeah, I've actually always liked how Intel chips feel a little bit more. But I've always liked how AMD chips are, you know, a cheaper, better value option. Because it's like, I like how Intel chips perform a little bit more. I just like how they feel a little bit more stable. But I like how AMD chips, I can pay essentially $200 for an AMD chip and have it do most of what a
Yeah, they're
$400
crushing it
Intel
with
chip can
in the
do.
value department.
That's a good advantage.
Oh yeah, and the other thing is, this is the real reason why I went AMD this time. I was able to get the CPU and the stealth cooler for I think $160.
Yeah,
And then the
that's another
motherboard
thing.
was like
A lot
100
of if
bucks.
you go Team Red,
So it's like,
supposedly other components related to the CPU often get more affordable as well.
yeah, I had the whole PC essentially built for $400. But I brought my own
That's still not
GPU
bad at
and
all.
SSD. But for the price that I paid, yeah, for the price that I paid for that thing, I am more than happy with it. It does what I need it to do. And while it has its issues, I don't think
Yeah,
that anybody can fix
that's the
Microsoft.
thing. Every
No.
PC is going to have its issues, no matter if it's built by someone else or built by yourself or how well the job is done. It is always going to have issues as long as it is running Windows.
Yeah, man, I hate Windows, but yeah, what else do we have to
All
talk
right. So,
about?
do you want to go more in depth into your experience with Apple Intelligence?
Sure. So I have the iOS 18 beta on my iPad Pro, and just for clarification, I don't really care about Apple Intelligence. I installed the beta just because I wanted something to run the beta on, and I'm not putting this on my phone. I rely on my phone too much. So it's been about 2 months, I'd say, since WWDC. 2 months of running the beta every day on my iPad. I have essentially had two problems. One, sometimes there will be a delay turning the iPad on from sleep, and two, just like very so my icons used to go
Hmm.
blank and I would have to restart the iPad to get them back. But that's the only like performance problems I've had. Now, cannot stand the new music queuing system. Cannot stand the new Photos app. Don't like how screen sharing works now, but that's about it. If I had the option, I would not update to iOS 18 on my main phone, but I don't think that's going to be an option. So I'm going to have to learn how to deal with this new Photos app, and I'm going to have to deal with the new music queuing
At least
system.
I'll wait to upgrade.
But
At
Apple
least I'll wait a year to
Intelligence,
upgrade.
yeah, so Apple Intelligence so far, um, I think we can see your forehead enough, man. But but I think that Apple Intelligence is the
Totally
biggest
agree.
waste of a feature ever.
It truly is. But we've gone into this in a lot of episodes, but it's just not useful.
Look, I thought it was going to be cool. I thought I would be able to ask it, more complex questions. Like, I thought I would be able to ask it what the BIOS key on a Dell, or Dell laptop would be. Because that's when I was fixing the XPS. I wanted to know what the boot menu key was. It couldn't tell me that. So it's like, what's the point in having any
That
personal
actually
assistant that
is
can't tell
very
you,
strange
basic stuff off
because
of Google?
wouldn't Siri typically at least look for something on the web and just say, here's some web results?
Yeah.
Oh, let me actually ask this again. Siri. Siri. Not on the phone. Let me grab my iPad. What is the BIOS key on a Dell XPS from 2015? It just gives me something, entering BIOS setup program, and it just gives me like this list of Google search results. So it's like it can't give me a ChatGPT answer because I'm sure if I asked ChatGPT, it would say try F12, try F3,
Yeah, something like
whatever.
that. Honestly, I don't even know how to get into the BIOS of my laptop.
Yeah, I don't know how to get into
Yeah, you only
BIOS
really need it
menus.
if you're installing an OS or something.
I'm actually curious of just like how on current iPhones you can actually turn on the old school voice control if you go into a side button like they used to have on the iPhone
I'll check
3GS.
that real quick. Let me check this. Oh, here we go again with
Hmm.
the delayed power on. All right, let me side button.
Yeah.
Is that an accessibility?
Or go into accessibility and then side button.
I'm looking. I might not have it because I'm on an iPad. Oh,
Or
top
no, it
button.
won't be on the iPad. It'll only be on
Press.
iPhones or and iPod touches.
Why?
Because iPads never got
Whoa, whoa, whoa,
the
whoa, whoa,
old
no, no,
voice
no, don't
control to
restart,
begin
don't restart,
with.
don't restart, don't restart. What are you doing?
What's going on?
Phew. I had a pop-up saying my Mac was about to restart because of an update.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
sometimes
downloaded it
Apple can
earlier
be a
this
bit
morning and I
weird with
never
At
that
least
too.
I've never
installed
had
it. And
that
so
issue.
it finally pulled up the pop-up window. Okay, it seems like you're not doing that much despite that. Oh, I don't know. We're currently screen recording and on a video call. I don't know. Could be doing something at the moment. But yeah, it just gave me this pop-up with a countdown timer.
Yeah, sometimes I think Apple is a little bit more intrusive than Windows. Yeah, sometimes I think Apple is a little more
Well,
intrusive than Windows with
I've recently
updates
learned
when this
Samsung's
stuff
That's.
the
happens.
worst.
I mean, the only intrusive.
Oh yeah, Samsung is the absolute worst. Samsung, they don't care what you're doing. They'll just restart your phone while you're listening to music. You'll be like, "What the hell?"
Oh.
And
Oh,
then
I've had.
you look on your phone like,
Yeah, my dad missed a very important business call once because his phone randomly decided, oh, we're going to restart during an update, and this was during that scheduled appointment.
"Yeah, that is." Sometimes I can't trust. I can't trust Samsung. I couldn't rely on those phones.
And
Just the whole
it didn't
update
used to
system.
be that way either.
They won't let you customize when you do your updates.
No, it did. It's like it's becoming more like Windows.
I would rather not be able to customize my app icons than not be able to customize when my phone's
I
gonna
know.
turn off for 10 minutes and
I
update.
agree, because I actually had an issue once on my iPad 7th generation before I blocked updates back when you still cut an old Apple device on back with the beta profile blocker. My iPad 7th generation back in June or July 2020. I remember one time I was at my grandmother's house and it was getting and it literally was about to restart on me to go to iPadOS 13.5.1 and it started. And I literally managed to force restart it just in time as the update starts that and managed to boot back into 13.1.1, which is what it still runs now, luckily. But that afterwards I usually go into now I just go into settings on my iPhone and iPad and just manually delete the updates if they download.
Yeah, I've also had a really bad experience with iPhone's auto updating.
I automatically turn off
Sometimes,
automatic updates.
sometimes my phones will just randomly update, but at least most of the time I'll be able to catch it.
Yeah.
Unlike with Samsung's, where it just doesn't give you an
Yeah,
option
that's the
to
weird thing
not
because
update. You know.
Yeah,
back
'cause
when I
I'm-
was using a Samsung 4 years ago, that's weird to think. I never had that issue where it's like, oh, we're going to randomly restart your phone because we got this update. That was never the case 4 years ago, and it was actually last year I had learned Samsung has been forcing the updates on people, and I'm like, wait, they actually do that?
You know, my S10e actually used to do that stuff back when I named that around the same time that you had
Yeah,
your
that's-
A50. Or I'd assume the same time, because I was using that
Yeah, I
around
still had the
January of
A50
2020.
around then.
I can't. I don't know why updates are so important that you need to. It should be optional.
Well,
It
if there's
shouldn't
a
just be-
security threat that is
Yeah,
very
you get an
obvious
update.
and leaves a very big hole for bad stuff, okay, I understand the urgency. But
Don't. I would rather have a security issue than not be able to, I don't know, dial 911 if I have to.
So would I, and I forget, and I believe I mentioned this in my video, but literally my iPad 9th generation on last March, it literally, mind you, it's MDM locked, so it's a little harder to control, but this literally decided to update right in the middle of math class when I needed to take notes.
I don't understand because
Yeah.
some of these
Yeah.
update systems actually understand the concept of let's do this at night when you're asleep. It's like there's a suggestion on my XPS saying we'll automatically update your PC overnight while you're asleep and when you're not doing anything important. Like if that's how you're going to do auto updates, that's fine by me because I'm not using it. I'm asleep. It's just, how is it they can't execute that? How is it that
And
they
then-
never actually get it to work overnight and it always
Then
happens in the
what's-
middle of the day?
Yeah, and what's this stuff with Samsung where you can't,
It
you
makes
can only
no
delay
sense.
the update like 10 times?
It drives me nuts. They understand the
Stupid.
concept
Alright,
of,
shall-
okay, let's do this late at night. But they never do it. There's some artificial intelligence for
Yeah.
you.
I don't know. I forgot about that
Yeah, dude.
saying. Alright, shall we move on to something that's not stupid?
Then.
The iPhone 16 the colors have leaked and they are a lot less pale than what we thought they were going to be. Most of them.
Yeah.
I
That's good.
think it's still kind of pale, but it's,
It's
a little
like
less
how much paler can
pale.
you get on the current 15 lineup?
I know, so I'm so glad they're finally
I-
fixing that.
Why'd they think those colors were a good idea?
They had artificial intelligence.
Yeah, when I went to the Apple
Yeah, I
store
guess
for
so.
my appointment, I looked at all of the different color 15 models. I'm like, white. Also, what are the differences between these colors? I couldn't see any color.
My eyes are a little bit better than Alpha's, but I can still barely make out the differences.
It's like the only one that stands out is the black one. Maybe that's why everyone who I've seen upgrade to the 15, maybe that's why they all went black.
I actually have a few classmates that upgraded to the iPhone 15, and a lot of them actually have, and I know one got the pink one, and another one got a yellow one.
I have yet to see an iPhone 15 other than black.
My buddy got, I think, the green or the yellow one.
I
Forgot
know,
which
right?
Again, it's so hard to tell. especially especially because I mean yellow technically is part of green, but also because I mean the colors are a lot harder to tell apart on the 15 standard 15.
They should have done a red
Yeah,
one.
I don't know why they
Imagine how
didn't
nice a
do red,
red one of
especially
those would
because
look.
Product Red, mind you, helps a
Well,
charity.
Or even orange. Orange
I
would look
really
cool
wish
on
that
that.
they've never done an
iPhone
orange
10R.
iPhone.
Yeah.
That wasn't orange, that was coral.
No,
It looked
that was
pretty
more
orange
pink.
to
That was
me.
coral.
But I wish they did like a.
It was like, I think those phones had bad color fading, from what I remember. I've seen a lot of them where out of the box, they actually look like a coral shade. You know, they don't look orange, they don't look pink, they don't look red. Then a year later, they look kind of
That makes
pink.
sense since red
And, you
where
know,
red, which is part of coral, kind of has a tendency to fade away quickly.
yeah, most of them just ended up being like this weird off red color.
Still looked pretty orange to me though.
I mean, that would make sense, but I still wish Apple did a true orange iPhone.
Still, I mean, Coral 10R, in my opinion, is one of the better iPhone
I
designs.
personally hate that color.
I really do like the 10R design. Huh.
Yep.
But all right, shall we move on to the updated rumors for the iPhone 17 Air? Do we have anything more to say about the iPhone 16 colors?
I don't have anything to say about the iPhone 16 except for I'm gonna buy one. Well, I'm gonna buy a 16 Pro, but
All right. So the iPhone 17, well, John Prosser has released a video when he thinks it'll be the iPhone 17 Air instead, which kind of makes sense because, I mean, the MacBook Air is more expensive at launch, so it kind of makes sense. I mean, I still don't think you necessarily need to make a phone thinner, but okay. But it's going to be
oh, I think phones could do with
yeah,
being
I
a
think
lot
they
thinner.
could personally do it, but I don't think they need to make it dedicated thin one. Like, I don't know, but it's going to be $1,299. It'll have a 6.6-inch display. It'll have less titanium but more aluminum, and it'll have an in-house Apple modem.
Yeah, I don't know about
Yeah,
all
neither
that.
do I, because isn't titanium lighter than aluminum?
I don't actually.
I think so. I mean, they're both
No.
pretty heavy material. Actually, no, they're
Yeah.
not. We're thinking of
Yeah,
titanium
aluminum is
versus
still lighter
stainless
than
steel.
titanium. It's not by a lot, but it's still technically lighter.
Yeah.
Why didn't they just go to aluminum on the current Pro iPhones then?
Because
Dent's
aluminum's
easier,
weaker.
scratch is easier.
That makes sense. Yeah, that's fair. That's all. Those are all valid points.
I'm still trying to figure out why does this phone even need to exist?
I don't honestly understand what this
I
phone
mean,
is going
I
to be for
get it.
either.
It's a concept phone. I mean, think of it.
Yeah, just like a folding
It's
phone.
the same. It's the same reason. Yeah, it's the same thing as the Galaxy Fold 1. You know, it's a concept phone. Apple wants to see what they can do. And I mean, hey, if it's good enough, I might end up with one.
Isn't it
But
rumored to have like a single camera lens or something?
I think Apple needs to stop. Yeah.
oh, never mind then.
That's
Yeah,
the
never
thing
mind.
that I'm
That's
trying to understand
stupid.
with this device. It's
$1,300
sounding more
and you're-
like a standard 17, just it happens to be thinner, but it's priced like a Pro model.
sounds more like an SE to me.
Yeah, I don't.
To me, it
You
just
got a
sounds
good
like
point there,
It
actually.
sounds like an SE Plus.
And yet they want to charge like iPhone Pro levels of money. I'm just
Like, I mean, then you're not even getting the toughest materials. Which, yes, you know, you're making it thinner and lighter. But at that point, I feel like it would make more sense to just make the phone out of, you know, good materials and then focus on, you know, maybe cheaping out on, I don't know, thickness of the materials. Because I feel like thin titanium would be more tough if not as tough as thick aluminum.
That's a good point.
But I'm not an engineer. I don't know anything about that. So I'm just saying what makes sense in my mind.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. I mean, at this point, it's becoming a growing problem that Apple's releasing a lot of experimental products like the Vision Pro because they never used to release
I don't know.
half finished products like this, but now it seems like it's becoming more and more common.
Yeah, this might be a hot take. I think the Apple Watch Ultra was a
No,
concept
no,
product.
no, it is not a concept product. Please don't say that.
If it wasn't a concept product, why would they put it under the Ultra line? Why wouldn't they call it the Apple Watch 8 Ultra or the Apple Watch 8 50
Because
millimeter?
none of Apple's naming schemes make sense.
That is valid.
Because they have artificial
And also,
intelligence.
if Apple was really confident on the Ultra, why wouldn't they why wasn't the Apple Watch Ultra 2 such a, how do I phrase this? If they were confident on the Ultra, then I feel like the Apple Watch Ultra 2 would have been an even bigger upgrade because they would have had, essentially 2 years of development. Because I think Apple products have what, like 7 years of development each, and then they have, at least 2 years to develop the second generation. So I think they waited about 6 months to see how the Apple Watch Ultra 1 was selling. Then they were like, okay, we're halfway through the cycle. Let's go ahead and make some sort of a follow-up real quick, and then the Apple Watch Ultra 3 can have a lot more changes.
That honestly is a
And
good
then also,
point
think of it.
because I mean, it seems like the Apple
Then
Watch.
think of it.
It seems like Apple kind of waits to do this with a lot of their products. Since I mean, think about it, like the iPhone, for example. The iPhone. Hang on, let me grab them.
I also don't think that Apple would have released the Ultra and the 8 at the same time because why would they release an Apple Watch Series 8 that was the same price as the Apple Watch Ultra? The
Yeah, that's a
stainless
good
steel
point.
one. Or maybe it's like $100 less.
50.
I think the Ultra in general, it didn't have a real market base, but they wanted to see if they could still sell it.
I mean, obviously it worked, but I mean, it's kind of like
2G,
But
3G.
it's kind of like how it seemed like the iPhone 3G, like they just made, like the iPhone 3G, which is the second iPhone, it didn't really get a whole lot of upgrades, but it primarily just focused on well, it had a different goal since it wasn't trying to be like the Ultra phone, but it was kind of trying to lower the price and make the iPhone more accessible to the mass market.
Mm.
So, I mean, that kind of, it seems like Apple's trying that same kind of thing with the Apple Watch Ultra too, and maybe they'll try to make progress even further with the Watch Ultra 3. But again, the Watch Ultra 3, based on its current rumors, don't suggest many changes. But that doesn't mean that Apple's not working on any.
I don't know.
All right, do you have any more thoughts about the iPhone 17 Air, or shall we move on to our final topic?
What's the last topic?
The next Mac Mini is going to be over 50%, or is rumored to be over 50% smaller.
Finally, they're making it actually
Good.
mini.
Finally. I mean, if Snazzy Labs can technically
Yeah.
make a Mac Mini that smaller, then I think Apple can do it too. So
Yeah, I would hope that Apple has more
Well, it
experience
didn't
than
help that
Quinn
ever
does.
since they still put Apple
mean,
Silicon
they
in, they've been using the same
No
power
discredit
supply
to
as the
Quinn.
Intel ones. So it technically has a bigger power supply than it needs right now.
yeah, it's a good. And
Yeah.
on top of that, I mean, average Joes don't exactly need that much of a. Or they don't exactly need as big of a cooling system as users, which would make it even better for the normal M4 Mac Mini. And I mean, and on top of that, I mean, I know a redesign isn't always good, but I mean, in this case, I mean, the last time the Mac Mini got a major redesign was back in 2010. Steve Jobs was the CEO of Apple at that point. I was 2, and you guys were both still pretty young. I couldn't even really talk much when I was 2 years
Yeah.
old, and my earliest memories are from when I was 2. I've changed. I think I've changed a little bit since I was 2 years old, and I think everybody's changed a little bit since 2010.
I would hope so. Yeah. I'd hope
Yeah,
so.
it's good to hear they're finally shrinking it. I've been waiting for a form factor redesign since forever.
Yeah.
I mean, that would make sense since,
Yeah,
as
I
Drew
think that's
said in
good.
his latest video about it, I mean, it's just that Apple's trying to make a lot of their products bigger and chunkier now, so it's nice to see it they're at least trying to focus on making something that needs to be smaller, which is not only going to save room on server racks, which is going to mean that you can fit a whole lot more Mac Minis into a server, but also make them smaller, which might help in the long term with which will help in the long term with cost, which is going to help a lot, especially after this whole CrowdStrike issue.
Especially considering a lot of businesses are probably going to ditch the PC and try the Mac out.
Which the Mac. I wonder if the Mac is. I predict that we're gonna see. I predict that I'm going to see the Mac's market share overtake Windows by the time I graduate high school in 2027. I mean, Mac sales could possibly overtake Windows at this point. At this rate, if Microsoft keeps up, I'm pretty confident that my Mac sales can overtake Windows.
But you have to keep in mind that there are still many people who will buy the PC simply because it's more affordable. And sure, in the desktop space, especially now, yeah, a Mac makes a lot more sense because the Mac Mini is so freaking affordable. But what about the laptop space, which I think is the more popular market, especially today?
I personally think that the Mac sales could still overtake PCs just because PCs are just kind of, what am I trying to say here? I mean, more and more people are experiencing issues with Windows, and more people know about the issues, and I think if more and more businesses switch to Macs, then that's generally going to influence people's buying decisions a lot more. Since, I mean, most businesses use Windows today, so as a result, most people are kind of locked into the Microsoft ecosystem. But if that starts changing, especially with the fact that people have iPhones already, or most people in America at least have iPhones, then I wouldn't be shocked if Macs overtake PCs. Yeah.
I've got no more for the Mac Mini.
We're out of topics.
How about hit 1,000 miles on the ID-4 yesterday?
Exciting.
Woohoo!
So after 1,000 miles, I haven't driven it as much as everyone else. Well, I don't know. I guess I did take it on its longest trip so far. But I feel like for the price this car is, it's a steal. You know, anyone looking for a car in this price range should just go out and buy it. You know, it's a very well-made car. There's two things I don't like about it. One, how it charges. Two, the stupid glossy plastic.
I figured that was going to be one of them. What's your issue with how it charges?
So for whatever reason, whenever it's above like 90, it just won't charge. Which, like, I get it, you're not recommended to charge it past 80. But here's the thing. When we were taking on that trip, we needed to have 100% charge. So we ended up leaving with about 80 because the previous day we didn't drive it a lot. So we plugged it in at night and we had it on the charger for a long time. And then when we went to leave, it didn't charge a single percent. That extra 10%, that would have actually helped us get home.
Did you look in the settings of the car?
Yeah,
Really?
immediate charging was set to, yeah. And on the app, I looked on the app too, because, it wasn't like we just didn't know this was happening. We tried to fix this. And it's still happening. Might take this thing to see what, the service center says. But,
Yeah, that
my car takes forever to charge. But it doesn't do this. My car, I feel like my car, it's just like, yes, it'll take forever to charge that thing. It'll take me, 4 hours on a home charger to charge it, and that gets me 32 miles. But at least you plug it in, it starts charging with the Volkswagen. It's like you plug it in, you got to make sure it's charging. If not, you got to click start charging on the app. You just have to do, it's just too complicated.
wow.
When
That's true.
in mine, you plug it in, it charges. And I understand, not everything can be as simple as it gets. But why complicate something as simple as charging? Because, at the end of the day, if you don't want your car to charge past 80, go out to your garage and unplug it when you see that it hits 80. Go out to your...
Or else just set a charge limiter that in the car. As I know, at least on GM's EVs, you can
Most
do that.
EVs allow you to do
The
that.
Audi has a charge limiter too. Yeah, even my plug-in hybrid has a charge limiter. So it's like, why can't this thing... Because it's not like a charge limiter here. Because if it's at 70 and I, charge it up to 100, it'll go to 100 from 70. But it won't go from 90 to 100. And that's just, it confuses me.
I think it's a software bug.
Yeah, I think so
Which,
too.
unfortunately, for
And
the
also,
ID4, that was the number one notorious thing about Volkswagen ID4s. They are notorious for tons of weird, random little software issues like that.
this is the only software-related thing that I've had on this
they've
car.
made a lot of improvements since then, but like initially when they came out, and for years, most of them have been this way. A lot of Volkswagen ID4s have been plagued with software issues.
Yeah, and one night I had enough of it because I was using the Audi charger on this because I've always just felt the Audi home charger was built a little bit better than the Volkswagen home charger. And one night I got tired of dealing with it, and I was like, okay, I'm going out, I'm figuring out what this is. So I went outside at 9:30, 10 p.m. And I sent a photo to the group chat of what I was greeted with. Only emergency charging is currently possible. Please see owner's manual. So I'm like, what? Okay, that's weird. So I go onto my phone, I look up that exact error. And people were, I wasn't getting any concrete evidence. One other person had it, and they were like, the charging pin is not locking properly. So I went and I pulled out the Volkswagen charger and I plugged it in with the Volkswagen charger, thinking, that'll work. Or I was hoping. So I plugged it in, started charging amazingly, got up to 100%. And then I've been using the Volkswagen charger with my Audi too. Works perfectly with my Audi. Go back to the Volkswagen, same exact issue. And then I've also tried it on public chargers too, and the same exact thing happens.
I almost wonder. Question. When you plug it in, and actually, is your Audi the same way? Does it have a clip that comes over the latch on the connector?
I think so. And that's clicking in, I hear the click on both cars.
Well, the click you're hearing might not be the actual latch that locks the connector in. It might be just the contactors.
Whatever it is.
I'm wondering. Let me grab my connector. Oh, it's right here.
My Audi charges fine, but the Volkswagen doesn't.
I'm wondering.
Which is...
That could be possible.
I'm wondering if your charge port might be made out of spec because... something that a lot of electric cars with this connector here you're probably using, they'll have a pin that sticks out and just it holds this latch pin down so that way you can't unlock it, and so bored teens can't unplug it. I'm wondering if that might be the issue.
So it locks fine. And so whenever I have the car locked, it'll keep locked. The pin will keep it in place.
Okay.
But then what also confuses me, if I go from, 85 to 100, it's fine. Anything below 90, which just makes me think it's just some messed up
Yeah,
software
it
issue that
has
I
to be
don't,
software
you
then.
know, I don't
It's
know.
got to be software.
But it's definitely been a little annoying because it definitely threw us off when we had to go to an Electrify America at 2 a.m. because we were literally 5 miles away from home and we weren't going to make it home with the range that we had. That extra 10% really would have came in handy
Ooh.
there.
Especially because no one wants to stop at the last thing people want to do is stop at a public charger at 2 a.m. just to go a few
Yeah.
Oh,
miles.
and you know what else was really annoying? This is the more annoying part. We went, to this area full of chargers, all Volta chargers, and a plug share, or no, charge point charger. So we go and we go to a CCS Volta charger, and it's down. It doesn't say it was down, but then
Yep.
on the app it said down. On the station it didn't. So we went to another CCS one. Nope. All these CCS Volta chargers, nothing. Then we went to a J1772, or yeah,
Yeah.
J1772, right? And it was charging. So we go to the restaurant and we start eating. Then I look and I get a Volkswagen thing that says charging stopped, but it still says charging on the app. So I'm like, okay. So then I look back a couple minutes. I look a couple minutes later. No charge has been added to the car. So I'm like, okay, I'll be right back. So I run, 5-10 minutes away to the charger to chart, see that it has a blinking red light or something, or a solid red light. So I'm like, okay, well, here we go. So I unplug it, plug it back in, charging fine. So I go back in the restaurant. 15 minutes later, same thing happens. I'm like, screw this. I'm not doing this. So if that worked, I would have been good. If it charged past 90, I would have been good. I don't fault the car for what happened at those
Yeah, I
Volta
don't think it's
stations.
the car. I
I
know
fault that
Volta
messed
has
up
some mixed
station.
reliability.
Yeah, Volta, surprisingly, in my experience, has been the absolute best. I was charging my car on a Volta system earlier.
Yeah, which is kind of weird because I
Oh.
hear that
Just
they
a
generally have
big
mixed
annoyance.
reliability as of whether they work or not.
I just like them because they're free.
Oh yeah.
I've charged my car on two of them today, actually. It just gives me, I plug it in somewhere and just go and check out whatever's around, and then I come back and my car's got an extra 7 or so miles on it, so
Dude, you
I'm
won't believe how
not
much I
complaining.
wish my car could do that just because I've got a battery that's waiting to be used.
Yeah,
Except nope, the only
it's
way
really
that
fun
charges is
having,
via
Annoying.
braking.
yeah, it's really fun having
That's
something like
annoying.
that and just a plug-in hybrid.
All right, shall we? I guess I do have. I guess I do have one more thing that I forgot to
What's
mention.
that?
CarPlay is now in my car.
Awesome. How
Woohoo!
is it?
It's a Sony. It's a Sony radio with a touchscreen and it still has a backup camera and it also supports wireless CarPlay I have to figure out how to get it to announce all my texts as they come in so that way I can so that way so that way I can know have my text announced to me as I'm driving.
Should be a function in the
That's
settings app.
good.
So I won't have to turn on Do Not Disturb. Yeah, I'm gonna actually have to see about notifications, messages.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, CarPlay is one of the best things to do to any car.
Oh, it says show on CarPlay, so
I think it's something in the CarPlay settings itself. When you're in the car,
Yeah.
you go into settings and then something there. I could be wrong because it's been a minute since I've messed around with my
I'm
settings.
pretty sure it's in the settings
And
app in the CarPlay
by a
display.
minute, yeah, it's been a minute, and by a minute I mean
Hmm.
since I got the car.
Yeah.
So But tomorrow seems like tomorrow's gonna be the day that I hit 15,000 miles on it.
In the Audi?
Whoa.
Yeah,
Nice.
15,000
Yeah, are you gonna
trouble-free
have to
models
lend? Are you gonna
miles.
have to get rid of it after that?
No, I'm not getting rid of this for a while.
Just
But
until he's gonna keep it till the lease is up.
Uh,
I might pull out a little bit early. It depends on how everything goes. Depends on if
how long is the lease
I
for?
don't want to say too much because, I don't want to say too much just to the general public because some things I feel like are just a little bit better to keep in private talk. But soon to be halfway done,
Yep.
All
I
right.
think. But yeah, I've been enjoying that car a lot lately. I've just been having a fun time just going out and doing stuff in that car, especially lately. I don't know what it is. It's just being able to have that car, And people with Audis see like, the black optic rings and stuff and they know that, it's a special car. Not just some soccer mom driving it.
That's
Yeah.
good to know. Because one of my favorite things to do to see out on the road is other Mercedes.
Yeah.
Because it's like even though we don't actually know each other, it's sort of like we're part of our own little community.
I think I'm the
Yeah,
head
there's
of
this
the
one
Buick
time.
Lacrosse fan club here, because
Yeah.
I'm the only
It's
one.
like
I'm the
There's
only one
actually
who
a Buick-
actually makes videos about ownership of a Buick Lacrosse. And it turns out
Wow.
people do like them.
like on
Very cool.
like on YouTube.
Yeah, on YouTube, people like the Lacrosse.
Oh, oh! Did I forget to mention that? I forgot to mention that there's actually because I drive to school this year. There's actually a Buick Lacrosse that's parked in front of
Nice.
me,
Is it the same
Oh.
style as mine, or
and it's kind. I think it might be slightly older, but it's I believe in a similar color. I probably won't take pictures because I don't want to take pictures of people's cars, and I have to cover the license plate anyway.
yeah? But it seems like
I showed you guys what I got done to the Audi recently, right? Sorry for cutting you off.
was it the rings?
No, let me show you guys. Let me send a photo.
Because you've done a lot of stuff to it. I'm trying to keep
Alright,
track.
I'll go look.
Let's see.
I'll check so that way the old car horn, which is my ringtone, will not go off.
Oh, there's your only emergency charging thing. That is just weird. What the heck even is emergency
Yeah.
charging?
I guess if you have no charging or no charge left, you can get like 5 or 10 miles to get it to a dealer.
Oh, I saw that.
Got it done in matte now.
Yeah, you got that weird felt.
No, not the felt, the matte.
Oh,
the glossy, I got
the
that
plastic
wrapped in
piece.
stealth. No more glossy plastic.
Ah.
It looked a bit weird in that photo. That's because I took that photo right after they did that. So there was still liquid underneath it, but now most of that's evaporated.
Oh.
Yeah,
Makes it a lot easier for me to trust my passengers in that thing because people love putting their phone on top of that. And camera bumps will scratch that so easily.
how would you rest a phone on that, though? It seemed like it would just slide off.
It does, and it puts these big scratches down it. I'm like,
Oh.
I don't want to tell people, don't put your phone there. So I take their phone and I move it somewhere else. And they look at me like,
I mean, that's a
they,
good
they look at me
point.
like, why you touched my phone? Like why not put your phone in your
I mean,
pocket?
it's your car, so you can technically do it. And I just saw another vehicle. I just saw another, I believe, I believe I saw I believe that same Chevy Tahoe that I saw on the last podcast episode of the Carolina Squat. I just passed my house again.
Oh, you got a squatted truck in your neighborhood?
There's several in
Yeah.
my area. There's several squad trucks and SUVs.
That's odd. Hey, Teddy, I know what car you should buy next.
What?
Bugatti Veyron.
I unfortunately don't have that kind of money, and I hate Bugattis.
If I had that type of money, I'd buy one.
Even though all my class, I don't understand the hype of Bugattis because Bugattis, all my classmates love Bugattis, and they're like, oh, they're the fastest cars ever. They're the best ever, even though I'm sure they're just influenced by Andrew Tate in that regard.
I mean, honestly, Bugatti's the car of our generation. Because think of it.
No,
Think of it.
no,
2005.
no. Bugatti
2005.
suck.
Bugatti Veyron Supersport. Fastest production or fastest road legal production car.
Now it's a Tesla Model Y, I believe.
Now, technically,
I mean,
that record
still.
is now held. I don't remember. I think Lucid technically holds it with the Sapphire, but it's not by much.
But I mean, there's so many other cars that are cheaper that are faster than it, which I mean.
Bugatti Veyron is
Again, I
designed
mean,
so
who would
well,
wanna
though.
Why would anybody spend $1 million on a car?
Yeah, but I mean,
In case you forgot, Teddy,
It's designed
American
so
car
well.
culture. It's a thing.
and then also think of it like this: why would anybody spend $2 million on a painting?
I don't get that either.
Why would anybody spend
think
$2
that's
million on a
stupid.
piece of land if they're only going to use, enough to build a house on it?
I mean, that's sort of depends on what kind of house you're
And
building.
then there's the yachts. Why do people spend millions of dollars on yachts?
So it looks like the fastest
That's kind of stupid.
road legal car might be the Agera RS. 278 miles an hour. I thought there was one that went 300. The Bugatti Chiron Supersport can go 273.
Again, like, none of these speeds truly matter because you have to remember that there's very few roads in the world where that's actually legal, and there's no roads in the United States
But there's very many
270
tracks in the
miles
United
per hour
States.
is-
Yeah.
And very many people who own their own land that can kind of more or less do whatever they want.
Well, there is also another place where it is
Yeah,
legal to
'cause,
do
I
whatever
mean-
speed you want in the U.S.
Oh, what? Where?
The Salt Flats.
Oh, please don't say Texas.
The Utah Salt Flats.
What's Salt
There's a
Flats?
designated section of land that is for people to do speed runs in their cars to see how fast can they go.
All right, that's good to know.
I now know what I was. I thought Alpha was going to mention Texas Highway 130 for a second, which has the highest speed limit in the U.S.
85, right?
Yeah, how'd you know that?
I've done my research on this stuff.
Then he's been to Texas, so.
What a shock! What a shock! I've done my research on this stuff too.
Unfortunately, if you go over 85, you get charged with reckless driving, I believe. So you can only go exactly the speed limit.
I can't imagine all the traffic goes exactly the speed limit, since especially in my car, my car is so hard to regulate speed that it's very easy to go like 1 or 2 miles over the speed limit.
It's easy to go 20 over the speed limit in a lot of cars.
I mean, 20 I would charge reckless driving, but I mean,
I'm not trying to incriminate
I mean,
myself,
that's
so I'm not
just
going to say anything. All I'm going to say, sometimes in the Audi Q5, I'm not saying mine, because I'm not trying to incriminate myself, you look down and you're just going 15 over. And you're like,
I mean,
oh.
my car. I mean, it depends on what. Sometimes in my car it's like that too, but it depends on what the speed limit is. If the speed limit is 20, if the speed limit is under 20 miles an hour or below, then it's extremely easy for me to be going like almost 10 miles over the speed limit. But I usually don't.
The speed limit's 20
I
miles
usually
an
don't
hour.
try to
That's probably a
excessively
school zone, dude.
Oh no! Most residential neighborhoods in my area. A lot of residential neighborhoods in my area are limited to 20. Some 30.
Yeah, one time I got yelled at for going 3 miles an hour over the speed limit in a residential area. Oh, there's probably
Whoa.
kids outside playing. I'm like, it's storming. Why would kids be playing outside?
I saw kids in my neighborhood playing basketball once when
Yeah.
it was rainy, but
That
getting
and
back
that and they're
on.
also assuming that
But ge-
everyone's speedometer is properly calibrated.
my dad's speedometer is actually set to be 4 mile. Is that because he's had the wheels replaced? It's 4 mile. It says it's going 4 miles per hour faster than it is.
Yeah, a lot of Porsches have a fast speedometer. I think that's just part of Porsche's philosophy, though.
Yeah, if I recall, Porsche usually
Yeah, I
does
mean that
one
kind of
over
may.
what you're actually doing, I think.
I think it's 2 in the Macan.
Yeah. Usually if you get in a Mercedes
Yeah, I
though,
know
it's dead
they're.
on balls because the Germans are Germans.
Yeah, my car was literally dead accurate, but there was actually like on US 3301 on part of US 301 in Florida, which connects Gainesville, where the University of Florida is, to get Jacksonville, or at least connects to I-10, the Jacksonville area. That road used to go through the community of Stark and I think Baldwin or something like that, and and there and the cops and the speed limit, and once you got into the towns, were reduced to like 35 miles an hour. And the community of Stark, I believe, used to get you like literally 85% of the city's revenue would come from speeding tickets, and so you can imagine that they would write you. You can imagine that they would write you up for going 1 mile over because that's how the city made
Jeez.
money. And it got so bad that the state of Florida had to disband that police force.
Good.
And on top of that, on US 301, at least in Stark, they finally built a 70-mile-an-hour bypass.
So stupid.
Yeah, let's just say the fastest I've ever done was allegedly an 80 in a 60. And that was not because I wanted to.
The fastest I've ever done was the speed limit.
Gotta love St. Paul traffic.
I've never.
You gotta be, they were just flying down that freeway.
Yeah, yeah. I think unless you're going right through a downtown area, I think they should. I think they. I don't think the speed limits on interstates or freeways should drop, unless you're going through the mountains or something. But the most I've ever done speeding over of done in terms of speeding is when I was driving on a 70-mile-an-hour interstate once. I peaked at 81, but that was only for a few seconds.
Damn.
And I was all, no, I'm not going to say how many lanes it was.
Yeah, next year I might potentially be taking my car to the Salt Flats.
You should. I would, if I was
That'll
able
be.
to go to Utah, I would do that in an instant.
Though I have to find the code of the. Usually every car has a speed limiter set to like around 100 miles an hour just to make sure the highways don't get too crazy when everyone's driving a gazillion miles an hour. So I know GM cars, they like to set the top speed to around 100 miles an hour. So I got to dig in the ECU and try to clear that so I can really see what she can do.
Yeah, I mean,
I, yeah, I don't think I'm gonna be testing it. I might test if I ever go to Central Texas. I'll test out Texas Highway 130, but I'm not, or at least the 40-mile stretch of it. That's 85, but I don't think I'm going anything above that.
I want to go on the track really bad. I want to just go on the track and, get some straightaway, hit like 180 in some sort of a car.
Yeah.
My dad also wants to go out on the track on his M6, and he also wants to get a dedicated like GTR or older M car just for taking out on the track.
One of these days.
I'm sure the Q5 couldn't do that, but
Yeah, one of these days I want to go to Germany and do a lap around the Nürburgring.
yeah. You know what you should do before you go to the Salt Flats? You might want to go ahead and put higher speed rated tires on your car because I'm um, pretty sure yours are what speed category are yours?
I don't know about speed category. I just know about temperatures, and it's They're basic all
Oh.
seasons.
I think those
Yeah,
would
I
be
imagine
about
they're only
120,
going to be set
130.
to go.
So
Yeah, that would make sense since there's no roads in the U.S. when that is legal, where that is legal.
Hmm.
I mean, I'll pay attention to my tire pressures. If they start heating up, then that air pressure is going to rise, and I'll pay attention to that. But
Yeah. I need new tires on my wheels.
The tire pressure sensors are still acting up in my car.
Really?
Yeah.
that's unfortunate.
Might want to get that fixed.
Yeah, I've checked my tires multiple times and they're just fine. So now at least they're reporting most of the tires in the 30s usually. So
Yeah.
at least it's reporting at more normal levels of PSI. But
I'm getting a call.
do you
I'll
have
be right
anything
back.
more to talk about?
Hold on 1 second.
All right. Wait for
Yeah.
Tabby to get back.
Yeah, I still wanted to.
Well, I'm at it. I guess I will look up the.
Oh, what were you gonna look up?
I'm gonna look up if you can speed on Texas Highway 130.
Well, the obvious answer is gonna be no, because you shouldn't speed anywhere.
I'm gonna see like if they have any mile per hour forgiveness. Oh, okay, not San Antonio Express News.
They have to at least have like 1 mile an hour because of speedometer calibration.
Yeah.
Because I do know there are some cars that actually do read just a tad under what they're doing.
Yeah, that would make sense. Okay, this is
I'm
just
back.
about the toll. Okay, I'm not fine.
He's looking up if you can speed on that
Oh,
highway he mentioned.
Oh, you know it's fun.
I'm not finding anything.
It was storming a few days ago, and I was coming home, and everyone on the highway was going 15. And, I don't know about you guys. I can drive in the rain fine, even storms. So I was going down, I hopped in the express lane, which has 10 miles an hour over the speed limit. You can go 10 miles an hour more than that. And I was just going, let's just say the speed limit, all the way down that. Everyone else was going 15, and I'm just going right through everything, at highway speeds. And it's like, are people just scared to drive in the rain? Or do they just have no practice?
I mean, sometimes it seems. I honestly think that might be a good scenario since, I mean, my grandmother really does not like driving in the rain. I remember one time when I was driving with her in the rain in my car, and I was on a 55 mile an hour 2-lane road, and I was going 55, and my grandmother told me, don't go 50. I wouldn't go 55 because of hydroplaning, even though in reality, speed in my car is really hard to control, especially on a hilly road.
If you know how to control your car, you're fine.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know how to control my car, and so I can go, mind you, on a 2-lane road, not a freeway or an expressway, a 2-lane road, I could go almost 4 times faster than I peaked at 58 miles an hour, I believe, that that time in the rain, but I can peak at about 4 times over 15 miles per hour on a rural 2-lane
Perhaps
highway.
a lot
You know
of
what
people
was
had
even
bald
dumber,
tires
though?
that day.
Everybody was, going like 15. There's a couple people going like around my speed with me. I didn't know the people, they were just kind of following me. But there were people in the left lane going 15. I'm like, okay, you're on, this massive interstate. Why are you in the left lane? So I was, going right around these people, no problems. But these people can't even, because look, 15, you're going less than the speed limit in a neighborhood on an interstate. in the left passing lane and the HOV lane. Keep in mind, I couldn't go into the HOV lane because, I was in the car alone,
Do
But
hybrids count?
if you're going to go,
Because I know
I don't want to
some
put
some
that.
areas allow electric vehicles into the HOV lanes.
In my state, you don't actually have to do that to get into HOV lanes. You can just get, as long as you just have more than one person, then
In
you're
my state, those
good.
Yeah,
lanes
but,
don't even exist.
Oh, wow.
Nope, Michigan don't have any.
Well, I guess we can. I guess that, well, Detroit, Michigan also does their speed limits a lot differently than most states, most of the eastern U.S. since they have it set where in Detroit the speed limits raise away from, because the interstate I-94, 96, and 75, I believe they all go into downtown Detroit. As a result, their speed limit, they don't exactly have room to build HOV lanes, so they don't. But their speed limits drop to 55 once you get into the downtown area, but they increase to 70 miles an hour really quickly.
Yeah, but it's been storming these last few days, and it's just funny to me to see these people, going like 15 miles an hour.
I almost wonder
I'm
if
just
there was
over
an
here going,
oversized load.
oh no, because it's just like these people were like, so I was like thinking maybe one person was, holding up all the traffic. But no, it's just like I was passing all these people. No one was even in front of them. The highway was empty because the time that I was like there on. But then, at some points there was just these, massive clusters of people. It's like there was a mile free, then there was like half a mile where I was trying to get around all these people, just go the speed limit.
Yeah, it's illegal in most. I think it's illegal in most states to go that slow on an interstate, since not all states post minimum speed limits. I don't know if yours does, but I know, and I know, just to give a few examples. I know in Illinois, the minimum speed limit is 45, I believe, always. And then in Missouri, I know the minimum is always 40. I think in Mississippi, the minimum on interstates is
For
always
us,
40.
it's 55 on
Uh,
I-75.
oh yeah. Well, I believe it's out on all interstates, but
Well, whatever it is, it's like I understand if you want to go 15 in the far right lane so everyone can pass
No,
you.
honestly, if you're
But if
going to
you're
do
going
15 miles an hour, then get off the freeway. You don't belong on the freeway if that's the case.
Yeah,
especially in the eastern United States, when there's so, like in the western United States, when they've often gotten rid of a lot of the the older U.S. highways, like, okay, that might make a little more sense then, but that makes no sense on the eastern United States when most interstate highways parallel older U.S. routes that you can get that don't have minimums.
it just doesn't make sense to me how you can just be that. Because, look, I get it. If you're scared to drive in the rain, pull over, you know? But
Not all states allow pulling over.
I'd rather someone get
On
ticketed for
interstates.
pulling over than have somebody end up in the hospital because somebody's coming at, highway speeds and ends up smashing into them in the rain.
That's another good point, because I mean, what if there were big semi
They
trucks
can't
that were
slow
going
down that
normal
fast.
highway
No,
speeds?
they
and-
cannot.
Yeah,
Yeah, and what if the truck was carrying something hazardous like oil
Exactly.
or gravel?
exactly.
Which I know a lot of interstates regulate. I know some interstates regulate hazardous materials, but and a lot of times it's supposed to be in the right lane. But I mean, still, like you never like I always have a different policy for turning in areas where where bigger vehicles, especially big trucks, are, just because I know that if that big semis don't have enough time to slow down.
Yeah. Makes me wonder why people go and cut off a semi truck, then get mad, and brake check them. Because what do you expect? Do you expect the guy not to hit you?
All right.
And then
Yeah,
most
that's such a
semi trucks have
stupid-
dash cams anyway.
I think a lot of them are required to have them per their
Yeah,
company's
like that's
orders.
even stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that would make even less. that makes even less. That's just gonna get drivers in jail.
Well, those people should be in jail if they're
Oh,
trying
yeah.
to do that. It's attempted everything.
Yeah.
I mean, not only are you putting yourself in danger,
Yeah.
you're putting the semi-truck guy in danger.
It's just
You're putting
exercising
everyone in the
artificial
radius
intelligence.
in danger. Yeah.
Yep, it's exercising artificial intelligence. That's a good
Goodness,
way to
I
put it.
love exercising that joke. It is so good.
So do I.
Yeah, well, we've been on this for a while. I wanted to ask one more thing before we wrap up. I've been bringing this up in the group chat a lot, but I think we should get it on the record as well. You're an Audi guy, Tabby. What do you think of the A6 now?
I think that whoever's designing these new Audis needs to take a look at B6, B7, B8.5, even B9, and realize those cars were beautiful. Because I look at the new A6, I look at the new A5, and I think, who on earth is making it look like that?
I know, it's a little funny looking.
And it's like, then I understand wanting to have an e-tron model. Electric cars are cool. When many people's favorite Audi is the RS6 Avant, why are you taking that away from them? Because there should be an e-tron A6 and a normal A6. It makes no sense to take, because the enthusiast Audis, the S4, S6, are now, well, S4 and RS6, are now being essentially thrown into common traffic. I've seen 3 RS6 Avants in my life. Those cars are a lot of people's dream cars, including mine. And now they're kind of getting rid of it. Now, I think Audi in the EV space, they can do a lot. You know, they can be a very good EV manufacturer. I just think I don't like how they're making, you know, every other model electric, every other model gas. I think they should just make gas cars and electric cars. There's no need for an electric A4. No need for an electric A5. Electric A6 maybe. You know, electric A8 would be cool. But
yeah,
it just,
I mean,
they need to fix. Audi's a performance brand and a luxury brand. I don't see performance or luxury in the new A6. Well, maybe luxury a little bit, but it reminds me of a Kia design-wise. Still have to do more research into it.
I mean, that's
but
not. You don't. You should. I mean, you have to. I mean, you should not. Kia is literally the worst brand of that I believe the cheapest new car is a Kia, so you.
I
do
think
not
the
want
worst
be
car goes to
vibes.
the Fisker Ocean.
Yeah, that would be one of the worst cars.
I mean, it's
no, Kia does not sell the cheapest car.
it's technically the cheapest.
I think it's either Mitsubishi or it's Nissan. It's either of those two. It's not Kia.
I think the Nissan Versa.
Kia is still up there in terms. Kia is still down there in terms of that list. And I mean, I know Kias aren't necessarily bad cars, but I mean, you don't exactly want to get Audi vibes in a Kia, especially when, I mean, Audi's a more expensive brand. I mean, people do care about that kind of stuff with Audis.
Yeah. I don't know.
You could get away with that maybe with a Volkswagen, but not an Audi, and definitely not a Porsche or Lamborghini.
I'm gonna have to see the A6. Gonna have to check it out, see how it feels. Maybe I'll end up liking it. Maybe I'll end up getting one. I doubt it.
Yeah, I keep eyeing that A6 e-tron.
Yeah.
There's so much about that I think Audi got right.
I'm gonna have to. I'm not a big Audi guy, so I might have to do more. And I prefer Tesla, so I'm not sure. So I might have to do more research about it. And it's not like I can exactly go to car dealerships and just take a look at these Audis, even though you have no idea how much you have no idea that would actually be kind of fun.
Yeah. I gotta get to one of those Tesla dealerships and check out the new models that they have.
I doubt my parents are gonna let me do that while I'm still a child, just because I'm involved driving in some very heavy city
Well,
traffic.
just so you know, in order
So I
to
doubt I'll
in
be
order
able
to
to
test
do-
drive Teslas, you have to be 18.
And I mean, I have to be 18 anyway, so I mean, I'm probably gonna have to. So I mean,
So
which I mean will be perfect, since then my parents won't be able to tell me what to do, at least in terms of
They
that.
can't tell you what to do. They can kick you out of their house.
I mean, they can kick me out of their house, but I don't.
So they can
I
tell you
genuinely
what to
don't
do.
think my parents would mind if I. I mean, I don't think they'd mind if I went to go see a Tesla though, test drive a Tesla though.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really want to test drive stuff just because, like, I am definitely not willing to take the repair bill if I end up messing anything up.
oh,
But
that shouldn't be on you. They have special insurance for that type of stuff. That's
Yeah,
how
but
most
I just want
dealerships
to.
operate.
I remember last year. Oh, yeah, last year around this time, me and my buddies checked out the S Plaid, I believe, and I had a lot to say. Quality was getting better over the older ones. I still wasn't impressed with the quality.
Yeah, that's
there was
just
a couple
a Tesla
things.
thing.
Yeah, there was a couple things I liked, a lot of things I didn't like, but overall, I think it was a big step towards better. It wasn't, like in my opinion, 2018 era ones, absolute trash. I think that was like just junk.
2019 was their worst. That was when they were in absolute production hell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I mean, at least Tesla's getting better now, because I mean, even my dad is considering possibly getting a Tesla Model S Plaid for his next daily car.
Oh,
Really?
It'll probably be a used one.
Oh, yeah.
huh.
He's at least considered it a little
I suppose
bit.
they're coming down in price. Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah, and obviously now that I'm considering getting a Tesla too,
Yep, I'm just waiting to move out so I can get one.
I doubt I'm gonna be able to ever I don't think I'll ever be able to convince my mom to get a Tesla until Elon Musk steps down from it, because she really hates Elon.
Oh.
That's the thing that drives me nuts about just... I hate every time I talk about Tesla, someone brings up Elon, and it's like, we talk about Apple so much, how often do we bring up Tim Cook?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like honestly,
I mean,
Elon
we
is
don't-
doing a lot to the brand name. I feel like Elon is dragging their name through the mud with some of the stuff that he's been doing lately. I'm not saying I'm in agreeal or disagreeal with anything Elon does. I'm just saying controversial figures do not exactly make the company.
Yeah.
See, it's like
It
you're a
drives me
controversial
nuts that
figure,
he
your
has
company's
all
going
of
to be
this
controversial.
attachment to Tesla because of his controversial stuff, and I just wish it. Like, seriously, what do you think of Tesla if you put Elon aside?
I like it.
I would like it more,
That's
but
why I want to buy a Tesla. Is because I don't.
sorry.
Is because I. Is because I mean, if I let my personal opinions of Tim Cook get in the way, then I would never use Apple products.
So it depends. Are we talking about if Elon's influence was still on the brand, like in, certain things about the car?
Just factor
Or are we
out
just
Elon
talking
in general.
about
Anything Elon related, just factor him out. What would you think of Tesla?
marginally better? I think the OS would be better without his influence in it. I think the brand name itself would have a lot more. It would be less of a controversial brand, you know.
I mean, because I think part of why Teslas are getting so cheap is because I mean, I talked to so many of my classmates about electric cars, or a few of them, and I think all of my friends I've talked to at school, they hate EVs,
Yeah.
which.
By the way, I gotta
Because
take
they
off in like
believe all that
3
stupid
minutes.
Okay.
Just letting you know.
All right, shall we wrap up the show now?
Yeah.
Sure, I guess.
Alright, so we apologize for that abrupt ending, but as always, thank you all for tuning in to another episode of the iTunes Fan Podcast. As always, I'm Teddy Maggart from the iTunes Fanboy.
Tabby Cat, 406, TC Tech, whatever.
My name is Alpha DeWolf from the Random Alpha.
And as always, we are all saying peace out for now.